a rhyme, a reason to how I'm going to unfold and unpack what we're going to do here today. And so these energies, this new way of being, this consciousness, you're going to get to practice it, and you're going to get to live it today, and you're going to get these opportunities of what I do full time with people as I'm birthing this through around the world. And really what I want you to do, even if you're a regular, is I want you to come at this and immerse yourself and follow me after I begin this overview and we get into the practices and the warm-ups and such. This inner exploration, really suspend any notions or expectations or judgments and to drop in. And we're going to have a lot of intention setting and beautiful stuff. So this new way of being, this unfolding paradigm, this how do I navigate? All right. So I'm going to give you a very basic, very high level overview. And then I'm going to break down some definitions of what does it even mean to be in the 5D, dimensionality, light, quotients, ascension, consciousness, a lot of words already built into the topic that for the sake of everybody and to give us a framework today, I'm going to kind of dive into. All right. So with this image in mind, hopefully you all can see it. With this image in mind, you have awakening. Right now, we're all in this awakening paradigm. You can call it the 3D, this current state of vibration. We're all one connected energy. We're all entangled. We all share this. Science is proving what all these ancient masters have known for time immemorial. And so we have this awakening happening. Okay, people are all around the world, whether you've been doing this for 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, like me for 20 years myself, and more hardcore the last 8 years as I've gone into vows and pilgrimages and things of very advanced nature to step into what I'm doing and birthing through. This awakening for all of us, wherever you're at, it's happening now. It's underway. And then we enter into this transitory state. It's not an actual place. It's the astral realm. And this is where a lot of us is starting to dip our toes in. Those that are early adopters like myself. I was talking about the dark night of the soul, DN, dark night of soul, this transitory process, this unearthing, this excavation. All of a sudden, all this shit and junk we've swept under the rug. And that's happening now, collectively. So those of us that maybe started doing this inner work, however it looks like for you, whether it be classical Vipassana, mindfulness-based stress reduction, or energy work, Reiki, light working, wherever you're at across the gambit, or evidentiary-based scientist who's never done any of this, wherever you're at, this is happening. Okay, scientists are now going, holy geez, there's entanglement and all of this. So this 4D, some of us that are early adopters started to dip our toes into it and started to feel really excruciating upheavals and deconstructions happening. As you do this work, right, as you start to awaken, you start to do healing work, you start to activate, you start to raise in vibration and you raise your light quotient, you start to ascend, right? This notion of you illuminate, you become ascended, all right? Now, we're not going to get into this. There's a lot of new age, spiritual, ancient mysticism, both in the Indian, all sorts of schools of thought that have different names for this. Bodhisattvas, ascended masters, illuminated beings, interdimensional beings. We're getting very much, because of all of this happening, this is like Pandora's box is opening. So ultimately, when you get here, this is what is known as when you arrive at this state of consciousness and vibration. Okay, and I'm going to explain all this again. Just quick overview for those of you that are like me, visual, to give us a little bow around it and give us a framework. When you get here, you start to unpack this Pandora's box and you start to realize a greater consciousness. And for many of us, I know myself included, and raise your hand if this resonates, we didn't get a handbook. We didn't learn the rules of the game. And this is accelerating really rapidly from around the world. I'm not the only one talking about this. I know for many of you on this app, around the world, wherever you're getting called to go for this, for your teachings, let's say, for these activations or for the inner work and all this work, let's say, this notion of ascension, there's levels. There's levels. And then there's other people have talked about this. You can look at these levels of consciousness, dimensionality, stages, seals of initiation, levels of heaven. Oh, wait, there's 7 chakras, more coming online, etc. Don't worry, I'm going to explain a lot of this. So there is going to be, for many of you, like Deborah in the comments, you're going to have activations happening. You're going to have these faculties coming online. Okay? And what does that mean? I mean, that's extrasensory senses. It could even be something as basic as hearing. On my journey, I started to unpack first really basic senses. I started to get heightened hearing things from far away, and my sense of smell started. And then I started to get the extrasensory. So like Deborah, you may be having lucid dreaming. The Vedic, they used to call astral traveling lucid dreaming. It is the ability to intentionally and consciously go into the dream state, which is kind of related to the 4D, to go out of this 3D, leave, and there's many dimensions. We're going to broach all this today. So with Deborah's comment, some of you may be experiencing this. Some people call this ascension symptoms. Some people call this awakening symptoms. Okay? Ascension, very plainly put, this notion of raising our vibration is literally tied to what is known as the light quotient. Light quotient, our ability to actually hold light, higher dimensional frequencies, sound and light, photons and phonons, as the physicists will tell us, right? And Buddhists were saying the same stuff. Buddha was talking about quartlets and waves, only everybody at that level of consciousness back then. If you thought we were in the dark ages now, no, we were in even lower dark ages back then when the Buddha and Jesus taught. So they were trying to teach like this advanced stuff that is quantum physics technically and multiversality and humanity. So they had to speak in prose. They had to talk about the inner lamp, the inner light. And really they were talking about quartlets and photons and phonons. So back to Ascension, it is the raising of our light quotient. And this light quotient, what is that? That should be your next question if you're following these logical breadcrumbs. A, B, therefore C. So Ascension equals the raising of the light quotient. So what is the light quotient? Well, DNA, okay, so we have four systems. We have the hardware, the hardware is down here. We have the biophysical hardware, the meat suit, and then up here we have the program, known as the soul or the energy, superconsciousness, different names. And then you have the software, the mind and the heart. There's a great institute called HeartMath that's done great research on the interconnectiveness of the software and how we use the software. All right. So what's happening, this light quotient, this is this yellow or orange, this U up leveling or going up, right? And then when you're going down, you're downloading. So as you go up, your ability for your DNA, your physical meat suit, your biofunctionality to operate at higher levels. You can have higher rates of metabolism. You can have peak states of performance. That is your ability to metabolize ATP. All the biochemists in the room, raise your hand. So that means, your light quotient means your DNA churns on. It goes from junk, dark, to light. Follow along. Your heart feels lighter. You start to see a correlation of how this frequency word starts to show up. So your light quotient then starts to activate these four systems that make you up. Your mind becomes clearer. You start to get more clarity on your mission, your purpose, what you're here to do, your calling, how you implement it, what that looks like, etc. And you have more connection to what's known as your higher self, your super consciousness, your soul, your code, the field, whatever you want to call it, your greater program. Who's with me so far? So your light quotient is actually your ability to hold more actual light. Nikola Tesla, the very famous scientist and inventor. I am the light in human form. Nikola Tesla, verbatim. I am the light in human form. Many have heard Tesla's very famous quote. Many of the Tesla fans may not have heard this before because I was deep diving on some stuff to build out my site, and I found this quote based on a very ancient interview that he did that was never actually auditory, was transcribed. I am the light in human form, this man said. This was 100 years ago. I'm the light in human form. So dimensionality. All right, if I'm boring you, let me know. If you have questions, I'm going too fast, let me know. I know I have beginners in the room and I have people that are very advanced in the room, all across the let's say, the realms. All right? So when you're waking up, I'm going to start to get a little more advanced. When you're waking up, and start to look at this as, where am I and what Haas is talking about? This is the roadmap now, folks. When I'm waking up, I'm in hell. When I'm awakening, I'm in hell. 3D hell, right? War, famine, that's right here. That's how these two images correlate. So down here is this awakening. I'm in hell. And even below hell, that's some of the people I work with. Former addicts, former ritual abuse victims, trauma, etc., war victims, famine, etc. Some of this is even below hell. For now, let's presume you didn't have a horrific life and you're not a lost soul and you're only in normal hell awakening. Well, as you start to awaken into this first level, okay, You can read the words if you want. I'm not going to necessarily use these verbatim. Okay, these are technical words rooted in the ancient mystical languages known as the Ascension sciences that now science is catching up to. And you start to awaken. It's known as almost like a birthing. You start to become aware of this, what the Vedics called this duality, Vedanta, this duality of, wait, there's this other thing and it's outside of me. Oh my God. Okay, wait a second. You start to notice there's a consciousness, and you start to notice that there's an interplay between that consciousness, the outside world, and your intentionality. You with me? Then as you start to go a little bit higher in consciousness, you start to get to the 200s, as Dr. David Hawkins in his book Power versus Force talked about. You start to awaken. You start to get into more intentionality. You're more mindful. You're able to go, okay, I'm going to set an intention today to get more work done. I'm going to set an intention to create a business. You start to actually become a more co-creator. Then you raise one more. And then you raise one more, and you raise one more, and then you get to very advanced stages that many of us will never arrive at. We can only talk about, dream of, and this notion of you develop superpowers. Siddhis is what the ancient Vedic Hindi yogics used to call them. And again, tied to DNA, tied to extrasensory gifts. So you get to stepping into service, being more of a service leader and a world leader of being in service, a modern mystic, whatever you want to call it, however you want to look at it, etc. Okay? So Ascension, dimensionality, you need to understand this, folks, because a lot of people are throwing this around, both in the scientific, new age, spiritual, mindfulness. It's all around, especially on, these apps more and more. So I want you to understand that this stuff is rooted in an actual science. There's an interplay, and the chakras, the inner realm, the inner and the outer correlate. So this is the seventh chakra, this is the third eye, and these all interplay with the biology. So as you start to do this work, you start to become more healed. You don't have insomnia anymore. You start to activate higher and higher levels of biofunctionality. That's when we're going to get into the practices of what it means. Okay, so for now, I want you to understand one last thing is as you raise up in frequency and light, you're raising your consciousness. You're becoming more intentional. A master is very intentional, very self-aware. The inner dynamics, the inner software are understood. And that's one of the biggest underpinnings of all of this work, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of the biggest flaws I see around the world. This is the reason why many people can do this work like I did before I even started my sabbatical, and I still burned out. I was doing, all of the work, self-development, new age, old school psychology, counseling, you name it. And it wasn't making progress because one of the things was I wasn't being embodied. And as the alchemists and ancient mystics used to say, the cauldron is the body, this vessel, and our capacity to house these very real higher dimensions and real light frequencies, sound and light, has to do with housing it in the body. We can only operate from this multidimensional and purely energetic level if we have this awareness embodied, if we're deep within and we're able to maneuver our inner landscape. And that's going to be the focus of the work we're going to do together today. Okay, so, and I work with, again, beginners and very advanced teachers as well. And both get their minds blown experiencing both these lives and working with me, especially one-to-one. All right, so why? Because I have had to learn this myself. The work started to stick when I went through really grueling. My back was against the wall the last 8 years, and I did these initiations and vows, and I went deeper than most go. Okay, I want to really get these keys, and I dedicated myself to knowing 8 years ago, I want to be of service. And so I became the guinea pig myself. So I want you to know that is the biggest takeaway I'm going to give you. You have to be able to embody any of this work you do, whether you follow me, you come back if you're new, if you keep following me, if you've been following me the last 3 years, as I started teaching on this platform and others. So embodiment, remember that. It's really, am I thinking I'm doing meditation, or am I actually deep within? And you're going to experience meditation like none other today. So as you raise in consciousness, you become more aware and present. That's another psychological word. Our presence is embodied. As you go up in these levels, up in these ascension levels and dimensionality, you start to notice things. And many people, myself definitely, and many people I work with, I see this time again. It's a pattern. Was this always there? Wait, what? Wait, what? Start to listen to the old music again. Whoa, I never noticed that. Oh, start to watch old movies again. Whoa, you start to unpack more because you have more presence embodied, more unification of the soul in form. The cauldron is the body. So here's the kicker, folks. I'm going to start teaching you the rules of the game. How do I operate from this higher vibrational state? Haas, how the heaven? I mean, great. This all sounds great. You all with me so far? Thumbs up if you are. All right. What the heck do I do with all this, Haas? Reality reverberates back to me. Great. Outside and inside match. Okay, I can co-create. Great. So let's start to do this inner exploration together, shall we? Let's start to actually unpack the practices and how do you enhance your capacity to live more intentionally and consciously in these higher vibrational states that are very real. To raise from awakening to conscious to more intentional. All right, who's with me? DNA, when you're in dis-ease, when you have shadow work to do, usually you have dis-ease. You also have biophysical symptoms that correlate to you having dark energies or dark emotions, negative feelings, hurt, trauma, and negative disassociations, dissonance, dis-ease, and you have a disconnect from the soul. You can't even see your light. Well, at a DNA level, your shadow DNA, your junk DNA is more prevalent. And junk DNA, scientists are now eating their words. It's not junk DNA. We now know it's not junk, it's turned off. We didn't know how to turn it on. DNA is like a router. It's like an internet of the soul. It's literally a holographic tool that was talked about by ancient masters in Egypt, like Thoth and the Hermetic Emerald tablets. And now scientists are like, oh, it emits light. Oh, the third eye emits rainbows and crystals. Yes, as you do the shadow work, you do what is very pithy. It's a very proverbial cliche way of saying it. You pull the weeds to plant the seeds and plant the garden. So you take the shadow density, discord, junk DNA, then becomes turned on, activates. All sorts of beautiful transformation happens at the body, heart, mind, and the program starts to interplay more with the cells. You start to see miraculous stuff happen. And yes, increased levels of light enter into the entire stream. And if you embody it, you will then have even more healing happen. And then it starts to because healing is automatic. Exploration, all right? And the more junk you have, the more fragmented you are, the more it feels like hell to be alive. It's not because of the wars and the stuff with, distrust and corporate agendas and blah, blah, blah coming to the surface. No, because you literally feel all junky because all of this is going on at a very real level. The biology reflects the energy. Low light quotient means lower levels of dimensionality and frequency, which means lower levels of health. Important. New Earth. Who's heard New Earth? Who's heard 5D? Well, I explained the frequency concept. New Earth is 5D. Well, everybody's like, I want to get to the new Earth. I want to get out of here. I want to ascend. I want to leave here so I can go back home, Atlantis. There's a lot of that going around too, right? No offense. I'm sarcastic. I'm not mocking anybody. I love everybody. It's a frequency. It's a state of being. Heaven is on earth, as Master Yeshua, aka Jesus, aka the Christ avatar, used to tell us. As the Buddha used to say, you got to really embody it. So the fundamental changes happening to society around us, folks. This is not a rapture, it's a rupture. All these old synthetic things, the way that it was, that's not going to work anymore. All the synthetic stuff, and we got to get into the new stuff. The rules of the game that I'm going to start breaking down for you that I had to learn both from studying, training, expertise, and more importantly, grueling work of sitting with it, integrating it, and birthing through these teachings. This is what, this notion of new earth is really, you got to do this work and you got to embody it. None of this is leaving the body. None of this is about disassociation and leaving humanness about. It is about being so human, as Rumi used to say, that every day you open the doors to the guest house and you go, bring it on, I'm ready. That is resilience. That is fortitude. That is capacity. If you are an ascended being and you're still cussing at the world and projecting, you're not an ascended being. You're in false ascension. You are in synthetic grids, and we can go into that at a later point in time. I don't want to waste any of the beginners' time because they're going to look at me like I'm crazy. The Pauls in the room are going to be like, what? Synthetic timelines? What? All Ascension false grids, which is now some of my peers and contemporaries are starting to understand, wait, what? You mean, and in the Bible, they used to talk about this. In the Quran, they used to talk about it. In the Abrahamic, they warned of this. Be careful of false teachers, false light, Luciferic light. And, in the dark studies, you learn demons, otherworldly things. For now, I will tell you that, Ascension at a very real level is happening. And let's learn the rules of the games, and let's do that now, folks, because this great resignation and from corporate, right? Everybody's resigning, everybody's becoming an entrepreneur. It's happening because around the world, all these ecosystems are imploding. It's not a rapture, it's a rupture. It's a global infrastructure upgrade from me to we. Everybody, let us go within. Let us start some of these practices. My name is Sadeghi, and I will be your mystical guide into consciousness and intentionality and these higher dimensional states. Before we do that, let's start with this warm-up, shall we? Let's start by putting our hands on our chest. You can do it on your heart. You can do it on your abdomen. Wherever you feel called. As I hit the gong one more time, soak in the frequencies. Allow the sounds to clear out any mental chatter from all this teaching, all the talking, all the chatting, all the framework. We're going to simply open to the here and now. You're going to follow my instructions, do your best. Centering on your hands, taking a moment to simply drop in. That's all we're doing. We're warming up to the warm-up. So we're going to feel our hand. We're going to feel our tushies as we're sitting, our backs, wherever we're sitting. We're going to notice and center in our breath more and more, the actual breath itself, the actual breath, the chest expanding and exhaling, the hand on the chest. Some of it, part of it, or all of it. Wherever you're at in your experience, follow along, continuing to open, center, and arrive to this warm-up as we begin a way of learning how to be more intentional and conscious by scanning and tuning into what's present in these four systems. More and more in the here and now. What are you noticing in your body? What are you noticing in your heart and emotions? What are you noticing in your mind and thoughts? What are you noticing in the subtle energetic field around? No magic, no right or wrong. Follow along, continue to do your best. Hand on heart or chest. Anchoring more and more, warming up more and more to the here and now. More and more, feeling what's present as you open, center, and arrive. Open, center, and arrive. And on the next inhale and exhale, I want you to draw your awareness all the way up to the center of your head. Center of your head, keeping your hands in focus, both in your chest, on your breath, as well as up in the center of your head. Inhale and exhale, drawing all your attention, and focus, all parts of you, to the center of your head as you inhale and exhale. What are you noticing in your thoughts? What are you noticing in your actual mind and head? What are you noticing in your actual physical head? Hands on the torso, noticing the breath as well as breathing in and out. And as you bring more and more intention, awareness, and focus to the center of the brow, to this mind center, of the main pumps or gates, where the intellect sits and insight sits, do your best to inhale and exhale, not only through your chest, also through this center, as if you're literally breathing through the center of your brow. If you're new to any of this, continue to follow along, do your best, allow the practice to deepen for you, this inner exploration to deepen for you as we continue this warm-up, inhaling and exhaling into the mind, center, the center of the brow, center of the head, center of the brain. Inhale, feeling it expand, and as you exhale, allow your mind to open. And when I say that, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe for some of you, it's literally the top of your head opening like a sunroof. Maybe it's like your mind center is opening like a ball of light or an orb. Or maybe it's like a flower blossoming, like a third eye flower blossoming. Wherever you're at, as you inhale and exhale, feel your mind center opening more and more. There's no right or wrong. Allow, command, intend. In and out, inhale naturally through the nostrils, exhale out. Feeling the hands on the heart and inhaling both through the chest and feeling the breath through the mind center as you open your mind with every inhale and exhale more and more. I open my mind. Maybe you want to say that command out loud and let the words come out. I open my mind, and you feel with every inhale and exhale your mind opening. And if you're having trouble, be with that, what's present, all of it. Breathe in and out, open your mind, and also allow whatever's present. Maybe some of you are struggling with the practice. Maybe some of you are new, even some advanced people. Maybe you're struggling, or maybe you have corollary thoughts, monkey mind. Whatever's happening, as well as opening your mind, allow. Be open to the opening as well as to the not opening. Inhale and exhale. More and more. What's present as you open your mind. On the next exhale, drop down like an elevator shaft. Drop down, feel your energy melting out of your head, out of the mind, all the way down to the heart where your hands are waiting, the center of your chest. Drop down to the heart center and begin to inhale and exhale through this center, this heart center, both the physical heart and chest and lungs, as well as where the actual heart energy center sits. Your intuitive center. As you inhale and exhale, feel, breathe into and feel both the back, the front, the top, the bottom, the inside, the outsides. Feel all of your heart center, both the physical and the energetic parts of it. Inhale, feel it expanding. Exhale, releasing whatever's present. Maybe you have old emotions, maybe energies that have arisen from this conversation or prior to this live or earlier in your day or from the week unfolding. Much like we did with the thought, as you breathe in and out through the heart center, feel your heart opening more and more with every inhale and exhale, like a valve opening or a flower blossoming, or like you did with the sunroof, maybe you can see your chest opening, like a window opening. If these visuals serve you, whatever supports you in deepening this practice as you check in into the heart center, feel what's present here, breathe in and out here, and open your heart more and more. Inhale, exhale. And like we did with the mind, maybe you have emotions that are coming up that are making it difficult to open the heart. That's okay. Be open to that too. Be open to all of it, the opening and the not opening. Inhale and exhale through the heart center, feeling it open more and more. What's present in your heart space. Then on the next inhale, exhale, drop down one more time, down the center, melting even further, feeling the mind melt into the heart even more, feeling the heart now melt even deeper into this solar plexus and sacral region, in your lower gut, known as the power center or your gut intelligence. Scientists have found this is also a gut brain. So you breathe and arrive more and more into this power center in your solar plexus sacral region. Maybe you can move your hands there if it resonates and it supports you in going deeper into this practice, deeper into this inner embodied exploration, deeper into this presencing and opening. And as you do, feel yourself arriving and breathing in through the power center, through the center of your abdomen, like we did with the other two centers above, breathing in and out and feeling the abdomen opening, literal muscles of the abdomen and lower back, as well as the energy of the center as you inhale and exhale, arriving more and more into this power center in the solar plexus sacral region, feeling it open, noticing what's present in your body. If you're like me, maybe you have more anxiety than you realize. Maybe you're holding your gut and lower back in tension more than you realize. Or maybe you feel butterflies and feel a lot of higher dimensional energies, or both. Whatever's happening, be with it in this power center, into your lower body, to your lower gut and sacral region. You inhale and exhale more and more, feeling and opening to it more and more. And see this region as you inhale and exhale opening, much like we did the other two, like a valve or a flower blossoming or a gate or window opening. Feel yourself more and more as you inhale and exhale the opening of the power center. And as you breathe in and out, as you focus on the power center opening, feel the other two centers that we've dropped down from, breathing in sync. Inhale at the power center, feeling the heart and mind pulsing in sync. Inhale, the power center opening more and more. And on the next exhale, I want you to draw your attention to your energy around you. If you're a beginner, you can start by focusing right above your skin, about an inch or two above your skin. You can start to really tune in as you've deepened your awareness and state of presence and deeper states of brain activity. You can feel this little buzzing. If you're more advanced, you can feel the aura or biofield. Do your best to feel into the energy body around us, the subtle body around us, the soul body. As you did with these three physical centers, breathe and feel as if like a bubble around you. As you inhale, feel the bubble growing and glowing and expanding and opening. As you exhale, feel the pulse and the breath go in and out through your biofield or energy body. No right or wrong. Continue to follow along, breathing in and out. Inhale and exhale. And allow, with every inhale and exhale, your deepening of your connection to your energy body and subtle fields and subtle awareness. And as you do, inhale and exhale, more and more opening it, more and more tuning it. Inhale. Exhale. And on the next inhale, draw your awareness back inside into your heart, where your hands are, in your chest, wherever your hands are. And as you inhale and exhale, feel the mind center, the heart center, the power center, and the gut, and the energy body around us, the soul body, all breathing in sync, all open and attuned in sync. Inhale and exhale a couple more rounds. And then I want you to open your eyes, and as you do, wiggle your fingers and toes and slowly come back to the room and say, I'm grounding in the now. I'm grounding in the now. I'm grounding in the now. Take a moment to assimilate, acclimate, integrate. Teed it up. What is present in my field? What is present in my field? When I started my journey, I was neither conscious nor intentional. That was 2014. I was done Tony Robbins, Landmark, many years of counseling, therapy, energy work, energy teachers, Ascension teachers, and only the real work was beginning. Okay? Because I was not in tune. And even as I started to do this work, many years in, even the last 2 years, as I've gotten real advanced and starting to birth through the foundations of my life's work and the curriculum I'm bringing forth more and more that you all get to hear on these lives, this notion of the soul, mind, heart, and body, I certainly couldn't feel my body. I certainly didn't know that I was not there and numb. Certainly wasn't as interoceptionally, emotionally intelligent, whatever words you want to use, as in tune. Certainly didn't know all the rampant stuff going on in my mind and subconscious. And I certainly could not get anywhere close to the subtle dimensions and hidden realms that many of us are starting to discover through the scientific lenses, okay? So when we talk about consciousness, intentionality, learning the rules of this proverbial game, we have to start with this notion of scanning, checking in, whatever words you want to use, with opening with what is present for me, and then actually opening. Okay? So this big initial warm-up gives you a lot of exposure to something very basic. These inner systems, very basic. This is not even the more advanced work that I teach. We're going to dive into more today. You'll get some more taste of the more advanced still. Even that won't be that advanced, because what I'm finding more and more these days, even with advanced practitioners, even with teachers, that many of us have skipped some foundational steps. And one of them is this being present, very embodied, very deeply, and being what is in my field, what is really present in my mind, my body, my heart, my energy systems. Many names again for it, folks. You can Google them if you're new. Interoception, subtle awareness, inner awareness, emotional intelligence. I mean, they all correlate to the same essential inner capacity and faculty of consciousness and intentionality at higher levels and spectrums of frequency. More embodied presence and awareness, okay? And that's how I started to go back to the drawing board after skipping steps. And that's why many of us are doing the work and it's not actually sticking, because we're not actually very cellularly all of these systems. And this very, what is present for me? How did that feel? If you're new, questions, in addition to this, let's say, digestion and unpacking and debriefing of it. And then what did you experience? Any sensations, etc. Some people, if you're new to me, or you may have activations. What does that mean? The space and container I hold, concepts we're about to unpack, because you need to understand these rules of the game for this higher consciousness way of being that's already under play. Some of you are already going to understand some of this. Some of you are going to see new levels of this. And the prefatory is what's present for me, okay? What's present for me. So where we begin is always with what's present. What's present. You can't be conscious and intentional if you're not conscious and intentional with what's present. Biofunctionalities. A lot of people, when they do practices with me, do my recordings, do these teachings, will notice flare-ups or healing happen, or because the meat suit, the biofunctionality, needs to be detoxed. It needs to literally be purified and reset. The mind needs to be cleared. All the junk and dissonance and limiting beliefs and all the lower dimensional stuff needs to be cleared out. The fear, the anxiety, the doubt. Similarly to the heart, the software needs to be upgraded, much like your phone, an insight timer. Okay? And then the soul needs to also be reset, and you need to activate it. We're going to get to that in the next set of practices. Activation. Before we get there, we need to go through some of the rules of the game. How do you live in this more conscious, intentional state? Now that you got to experience a dose of, holy cow, I'm way more present, I'm vibrating, or I'm, etc. Once you start to say, okay, what's present with me? Okay, so we did that. That was the warm-up. Then you start to go, okay, discernment. What am I ingesting? Because when you start to look at some of the junk, you may be surprised at how much of it came from the outside. What did I take in? Where did it come from? Where is it coming from? Okay, because once you check in and you do that warm up and you're like, okay, Haas, I don't know why. I got anxious when I did that with you. Some of you have attended lives where you've heard people say that after doing warm ups or meditations with me. I don't know why, Haas, I got really bad thoughts, or Haas, I got really, old wounds came to the surface to be healed. All good responses. It's more, where did that come from? Well, what's present? Where did it come from? What are you ingesting is another way of saying it. What are you ingesting? Discernment. Okay, this is not that topic. This tangents that topic. This is more, what am I ingesting? Because if you want to be conscious and intentional, folks, you're going to have a rude awakening, especially given what's happening with the collective. Because this awakening is bringing to light a lot of dark stuff nobody wants to talk about. A lot of these agendas, a lot of these things we're drinking, a lot of these statements as simple as, I'll be damned, I'm such a fuck up, God, I suck. It doesn't have to be our kids saying ball is life and they're inadvertently subscribing to dark energies or negative limiting beliefs. So there's a beginning, which is, what am I feeling? What's present? And then you go further, which is what I'm talking about. What am I ingesting? So what are you ingesting? So those of you that have symptoms, not today, I'm saying in general in your life, right? Because you came to learn how you're more conscious and intentional, which implies there's some non-conscious and intentionality or more growth you're willing to strive for. That's present for all of you, implied in being here today with me. So therefore, this question invariably comes in, where did I get this from? Where did I ingest this from? It goes deeper once you look at media, food, people, and energies. It goes deeper. This is only the beginning. You start to untangle, where did this come into my software from? Now I gave you a pop culture analogy of where kids start to say stuff, or we start to parrot movies without knowing where the heaven and what the heaven we're saying. Well, it goes deeper. Where did I get this emotional belief from? Ancestral healing. Maybe my mom gave me an emotional pattern I didn't realize. So you start to get into untangling energies in your life, and you have to do that in order to be intentional. You have to say, what am I dealing with intentionally, to then be intentional and conscious, okay? So are you intentional? Why are you doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I teaching today? Why did I get this download 2 days ago? Happening, we're ascending in frequency, folks. We're raising in vibration. So the key, once you presence, so we did a presencing warm-up, then what am I ingesting? Where did this come from? Why am I here? Why am I teaching them? Before you can actually be conscious and intentional, you gotta start with, what was I doing? What am I doing? What is present in my space? What is present in these systems? Missed the first hour. I said, once you get to these levels of consciousness that Dr. David Hawkins in the book Power versus Force, all this stuff about energies and consciousness and intentionality, and I've talked about some real grounded stuff. I also did the warm-up, which was more advanced-ish. If you're a beginner, definitely is going to feel like that. Now, I want to kind of get really advanced for a second, because I want to teach you something that I would say is a more energy practice, which is going to support your conscious and intentional living. Especially if you know the rules of the game, which is, this is vital, because this is what was meant by chi and prana. This is what's meant by natural rays. Well, they stream down from above. Yes, you connect to them to the earth as well. So we're going to do that first. So that's step one. I'm going to walk you through a connect and tap into the grids above and below. And then we're going to do some energy breathing. I'm going to literally invite you, and don't worry, I'm going to walk you through this. We're going to do this. We're going to do figure eights. We're going to mix the energy. I talked about a cauldron earlier. We're going to mix the energy. I'm going to do some practice with y'all. All right. So start with your eyes closed if you want. If you want to have your eyes open, that's fine. I've taught it both ways. It may be better for all of you to kind of tap in and close your eyes more, so you're more conscious, intentional, and present, and truly embodying this. More visceral work is how I teach it, okay? So you don't have to put your hands on your heart or anything like that. All you're gonna do, since some of you may not have done the first practice, which really primes you, so let's, for the benefit of everybody, take a moment to ground yourself, feel into your chest, call all parts of you, say out loud, I call all parts of me back to me now. I call all parts of me, my mind, right? My thoughts may be from the future. I may be thinking about what I got to do after this live ends, before. My heart may be thinking about past interactions, future. My cells, literally, I may be dealing with stress from before or after. I call all parts of me back to me now, noticing, opening, centering more and more in the here and now. Taking a moment to breathe naturally if you're not already through your nostrils. Allowing your diaphragm to expand out. Inhale, exhale, feel the contraction of the stomach towards the spine. Allowing yourself to enter into deeper and deeper parasympathetic states, deeper and deeper neurological states. And it happens naturally. You can keep your eyes open for those of you that may fall asleep or anything to that nature. And now, pick a lane, up or down. All you got to do, if you're going to go to the top grid first, go to the top of your head. If you're going to go to the bottom grid first, go to the soles of your feet. So if you're going to choose the bottom grid or the earthly grid, go there. Wherever grid you're going to, go to the source or the gate or the center that accesses it. Soles of the feet if you're going to do the earth first. The crown of the head if you're going to do the sky or the celestial or the higher realms first, or the higher dimensions or frequencies first. And what you do is you arrive at that gate and you breathe in and out like we did earlier with the mind center and all those centers. So you arrive at that gate, breathe in and out, feeling the energy of that gate, intending for it to open and saying out loud, I open this gate. Remember, we said intention is also evocation, adds to it, declaration. I open this gate, and then as you do, feel it opening, intend and visualize to add to the practice. If you're new, continue to do the best that you can and follow along. You're doing great. Everybody keep following along. And then now feel the energy above that center. So if it's the top grid, feel above your head. If it's below you, feel below your feet, the soles of your feet, which you've opened if you're going to do the earth first. Now feel the energies above or below. And then now, intentionally, pull it in as if you're breathing through a straw. If you're doing the top, feel yourself breathing, visualize, intend, do it all. Multi-sensory, multi-dimensionally, pull it all, breathe it down into the crown, down into the body, down into the heart, all the way down. If you're breathing up, do it through the feet like a straw, through the soles of the feet, which you've opened like a straw, all the way up. It doesn't matter which direction because we're going to open them both, so keep going. So if you're going from the top down or the bottom up, keep going. Feel yourself breathing and inhaling and drawing that grid in. You're connecting to it and drawing it in. Feel heaven or father sky. That's just the indigenous names for these energies, these grids, coming down. Feel Mother Earth or the earth coming up. And continue. So whichever direction you did, finish, go all the way to the bottom if you went top down, and go all the way to the top if you came bottom up. And then do the same in reverse. So if you pulled the bottom up, go all the way to the top, to the crown, and then now breathe the Father down. Breathe the sky or the divine grid or the celestial grid down, the higher realms. And if you did the reverse, now breathe up the earth grid up. It's like a straw, it's the best analogy that I use at least, or whatever analogy works. Continue, breathe it up or breathe it down in the opposite. Get both energies going. And you should feel, sorry to should you all, if you don't worry. If you're beginning or maybe even if you're advanced, sometimes you'll have off days, depending on where you're at in your inner awareness, inner faculties. You may actually feel the currents flowing up and down. Whatever's happening, continue to breathe, connect to both, breathe them through. And then now let's phase to the next part of the practice and do the figure eight. So if you're at the top, breathe it down like a figure eight. Inhale all the way to the bottom and then exhale to the top. Doesn't matter which way you inhale or exhale. Do whatever is naturally happening for you so you don't complicate it. Don't think as much as do and be with it and embody it. Then inhale up and vice versa. You're drawing a figure eight with your breath and you're going down to the earth grid. You're drinking it up like a figure eight all the way up to the sky. And then you're drinking down the sky like a figure eight down to the earth. Keep going. Creating an orbit that's in the shape of the eight. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale down. Exhale up. Whatever's naturally arriving and arising, however you're naturally breathing, pick a lane and inhale, mix the energies. And as you do this deeper and deeper, whatever's happening, see and say out loud, visualize the energy that you're drawing and mixing in your center. Feel it going into your mind and say, I integrate and absorb these energies into my mind. Say those words, I integrate and absorb these energies into my mind. And as you do, visualize and see them and sense them literally going into your mind, your nerves, your spine, your actual energy mind, your mindscape and thoughts, all of it. And as you breathe, inhale, say, I breathe and integrate these energies into my mind. You're doing the figure eight, and then you breathe them into your mind first and integrate. Allow them to seep in. Do the best that you can. Continue to follow along. You're all doing great. And then likewise, into the heart. I breathe and integrate these energies into the heart. See them literally as you do the figure eight, the energies mixing, unifying, and feel them going into your physical heart, into your emotional landscape, into all of the emotions that, all the organs and parts of you that govern your energies of your emotions. I integrate and breathe them in, these energies into my heart. I breathe and integrate these energies into my heart. And keep going with the figure eight and breathing them in, and then one more. And then on the next exhale, then you're going to say, I breathe and integrate these energies into my cells and into my body. And feel all the cells drinking up the energies that you're continuing to mix with this figure eight. See all parts of your physical body, your hardware, absorbing these energies. And when you do that, lastly, feel your energy body. Feel your energy around you, absorbing this energy. Feel it going into your chakras, into your aura, your bioelectromagnetic grids, your meridians, as acupuncturists and traditional Chinese medicine and Reiki and others call it. And before you open your eyes, on this last inhale and exhale, feel the figure 8. And on the next exhale, arrive at your heart and say, I integrate these energies into my mind, heart, body, and energies. One more time, inhale and exhale, and then slowly open your eyes. Wiggle your fingers and toes and say one more time, I integrate and ground all these energies. I integrate and ground all these energies. I integrate and ground all these energies. Welcome back, folks. Ladies and gentlemen. How you feeling, kiddos? A whole new world. Don't you dare close your eyes, because if you do, Haas will make your vibration rise. A whole new world. So, how are you feeling? Time for questions, Q&A, debriefing, yourself time to digest and uptake these energies.